Hello, I am Susan, the Portland makeup girl. If you are new here, what's up? I make videos about makeup and finding yourself and being the best person you can be and lots of stuff. So welcome. If you've been here for a while, hey. Go ahead and like this video and subscribe right now because you are proactive. I know a lot of my followers are fellow creative people like me. You are an artist, or you are just someone that really wants to be an artist. Then you probably know the struggle of full-time jobs and how it kind of hurts your creative side. At least it did for me, and I know for a lot of other people. So you might be wondering how it is driving for a delivery app. So guess what? Here I am doing the hard work for you. I have been driving for various delivery apps for the last maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm here to tell you the pros and the cons and everything else that you might need to know. See me look down. That's because I have my little iPad here that is has all my notes on it. I didn't want to forget anything, and I am like a hardcore notes person. I make notes and lists about absolutely everything. They keep me on point, keep me on track, so why not make one about this? For my list, I want to prepare you. The cons do significantly outweigh the pros, but for me, the pros are more important than the cons at this point in my life, because for me, I need freedom right now. It's what's keeping me thriving, and so I really like the freedom of being able to go whenever I want, go when I have time, that type of thing. So just keep that in mind, because you are going to hear a lot of really honest cons, and if you're kind of skeptical about it and you're like, I don't know, just go try it out for yourself. You never really know till you try something yourself and you kind of see how it works for you. So yeah, let's get started. So I think I'm gonna start with the cons first, and then go to pros, and then go for tips and tricks. So cons number one is, obviously you're still working a customer service job, so no matter what, you have to keep your smiling face on. You have to interact with people a lot of times, whether you're interacting with restaurants or you're interacting with the customers you're delivering to. There's always going to be someone that you're interacting with, so with that can come rude customers, which I've been driving for 3 weeks now, and I've had 2 super rude customers. So that's the ratio. I drive for about 4 to 6 hours every single day, so I have been driving a lot. And if you guys want to hear any of the stories about the rude customers, let me know. Comment below, because I can totally tell you a few of them. And I'm also, in this whole video, I'm not going to call out any specific apps, so if you're wondering which ones are the best or that type of thing, just send me a private message. I don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to name them. So yeah. So the next con is you do have to have carrier insurance and your personal insurance. Still, that's how my insurance works, at least, and that's how it was for a couple different ones that I was calling around about. Is so say you got an accident or something and you just had your personal insurance while you were driving for one of these apps, it would not be covered because you were delivering something. So that's something to keep in mind. It's definitely a little bit of an added cost to your monthly insurance. And they wouldn't let me just get the carrier insurance because they're like, are you going to be driving this vehicle like personally? And I was like, yeah.
So the next con is, I don't know how to say this nicely. So like the pay for the app is pretty good if people tip. If they don't tip, it's literally awful. Not worth it. So yeah, take that how you will. Always tip your drivers. This part, it's kind of seems like from me doing it for so long, it just like kind of like blows my mind because like at like say you're a restaurant worker or something, like you don't know where people come from. They could be all dressed up and go back to a trailer park, or they could be wearing sweats and then go home to a mansion. Like you don't know. I was always taught not to like judge people off of that type of thing. So working in retail, like I just gave everyone the best customer service ever, and like they were nice to me or they weren't. But for this type of job, like you literally see where people live. Like they could live in mansions, they can live like anywhere, right? But it really, really blows my mind how many people live in like the hugest houses ever and buy like literally like $100 worth of delivery and like don't tip at all. Don't say anything. I've had some people tip like 80 cents or something, which is just like so crazy. So I don't know, like whenever I order from delivery, like it prompts you to tip like the second you make like the thing. So that always doesn't make sense to me. I guess just like some people don't want to tip. But like, so for instance, the most I have made in 1 hour is probably like $50, but like the least that I've made in 1 hour is probably like $4. So you can see how kind of like some of it could average out at the end of the day, but like it definitely does get really discouraging going on like hour-long drives to someone's house, and then you bring like all these groceries like to the door and they don't even tip. It's real crazy to me. So the next con, and this is like when I first started using it, I was like, what the heck, this is like so weird, so unsafe. But the apps will connect you with delivery places like going the complete opposite of where you're going, which is like super crazy because like if you're on the freeway, there might not be an exit for like up to like 5 or 10 minutes or something, and so you're just driving the opposite way for like literally so long, and you feel so bad because there has to be someone closer to the destination. And applying to like 3 or 4 of the apps, so I have 3 of them, and I turn them all on, start driving, and then I just wait for one of them to like ping me to like a delivery, and then you have to remember to go through and turn off the other apps. If you do not, you will have deliveries in all of them, and then you'll start to get a low score. So remember that. So my next con, which I kind of already said, but it is really hard to use the app like while you're driving, not to mention probably illegal, but it does like while you're driving like kind of try to connect you to other trips, and like even though you're like already on one, like it'll like be like, oh, like new delivery, like blah blah blah, but like it's like hard to do, right? Like driving, you shouldn't be like on your phone. I don't know, that's just like a little one, but like a little bit tricky. So the obvious one is taxes. You obviously will have to set aside some money for taxes at the end of the year. Like normally when you work a job, your boss will take out a certain percentage of your taxes, like blah blah. So you just have to remember to do that. Not a big deal, just something to kind of keep in mind. Oh, this one for me is probably the biggest con. And again, if you want horror stories, let me know because I have quite a few about this one. Is apartments. They can be super, super hard to find. So say you're trying to deliver something and you get to the apartment and you're like, oh shoot, like now I have to navigate this whole thing. And just so you know, typically when you're on these apps, like it'll have you pick up a couple different orders. So say I have three orders in my car and the first one's at an apartment. You have to like circle around the apartment till you find like the apartment number, and customers aren't always responsive if you message them or call them. Like they'll just like they'll decline the call or like different things like that. So now what I've started to do is the second that I leave the restaurant with the delivery and I notice it's apartment, I'll text them and I'll say, hey, I noticed you live in an apartment and I noticed you provided the apartment number. What is your building number? Because apartments, like, they all have the same address and then they have like their own little like apartment number. So if you have the building number, it's a way easier to find. I would say 80% of those people don't know their building number. So it makes it super hard. I can't tell you guys how many people I've texted and then they're like, my apartment number's 28. And I'm like, what is your building number? And they're like, my apartment's 28. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a little bit late, girl. So that's been the killer for me, the biggest killer out of all of them. Also finding parking once you get in the apartment complexes, because if you've ever been to an apartment before, then you know every spot is like numbered. And so you sometimes have to like park in like the very beginning of the apartments and then just like run through or like park illegally or like just like stay in the road and put your hazards on. It's a situation, okay? My next one, and this is just a small one. Typically, I do luck out, so I don't have a lot to complain about, but parking in the city can be really hard. So say you have to go pick up food and it's the middle of like downtown area. Like if you live in Portland, then you hearing that, you'll be like, oh, okay, that's hard. Because like it's really hard to find a spot like downtown Portland, but like I said, I do typically luck out, so maybe I'm just lucky. Have noticed this. I don't know if it's a 100% true, but I did have it confirmed by one customer. I've noticed with larger companies that you deliver for, the customer has no access to the app, no access to their information, no access to tips. So, for example, I was delivering to a lady and I was like, I can't find your house. Like, I'm on the street that it says, I don't see this house number. Like, and then she messaged back and she was like, no, it's this address. And the address was like totally different. And she's like, I didn't even input that on there. I just like put my information on the company site and then they privately had you deliver it. So keep that in mind. It's super annoying because like I said, like tips for those apps are so important. Even to get like a fair minimum wage, like sometimes it's not even that if people don't tip. Crazy. So this is my last con, and for some grocery stores you would deliver people's groceries. So if they live in an apartment and you park a super far away and they don't help you, then you're literally carrying like all arms and you're going like up the stairs like to the apartment and then you're going back out to your car grabbing more, like doing it all over again, which of course anyone lives in an apartment will know that, but it's just kind of one of those things that I wanted to let you guys know about. It can be a workout. whenever those customers like open their doors and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, I'm like, no, thank you for the workout. I try to keep things positive always. I would say my worst one was one that I probably had to make like 10 trips. Like their groceries filled up my entire backseat of my car and my entire like trunk area. So yeah, that was a good workout. So next I'll move on to the pros. So the biggest pro is that you can obviously drive whenever you want. That's the best, like, to me, that's like the best feeling, just being like, I can go whenever I want, like whenever I have time, whatever works for me. I have so much going on right now, just in the makeup world and with other things, that like I really need a job that's like super flexible with hours. So for me, it works perfect. The next pro is a lot of times they'll have bonuses, so they'll be like, drive during this time and you'll get this certain number of bonus. A lot of them have sign-on bonuses. Like I know for Postmates, for instance, if you hit a certain number of drives within your first amount of days, then you get like $1,000 bonus. I think that like most of them do that. I don't want to say for sure, but they do have a lot of different bonuses. And then once you're on the app, like I said, they do stuff more frequently. That's like, we need drivers during this time, here's a bonus. Or different grocery stores, if they are like backed up on their hauls or something, they'll be like, here's like a bonus if you accept this delivery, which is cool. They definitely add up. So my next pro, and I know this was on the cons list, but it can be a pro too, is sometimes the tips are absolutely amazing. The best tip that I've gotten is probably, I think someone paid me like $30 tip once on like a $5 delivery, which was so cool. I think that no matter how much bad, or like, I don't want to say bad people are in the world, but like no matter how many like people there are that do bad things, there's always gonna be that same amount, if not more, people that are so good and so giving and that type of thing. So just remember that if you are driving for these people and you go through a day where like you're not getting good tips, just keep your spirit high and just recognize that not everyone's going to, but there are people that will give amazing tips, and it kind of all balances out. The thing else I really like about it is it's always new. Like I'm always exploring like a new area. I'm checking out like new restaurants I've never been to, I've never heard of. I'm always like seeing the most beautiful places in our city, and I've always been like an explorer, so it's just really cool to kind of like check out places that I've never been, that I've never heard of. Next one is you can listen to your own music. You can listen to podcasts. You can listen to anything that you want while you're driving. And this is really cool because, again, there's just so much freedom in that. There's so much like, it's like so beneficial to like, to people, right? Like I'm delivering somebody's food, but also I'm learning on my podcast. So I really, really enjoy that. I always start out the day with like listening to some YouTube videos, and then I go through like a playlist, and then after that, then I'm like, maybe I'll listen to a podcast that I like right now, and then I'll listen to that for the rest of the day. And it's like, it always keeps me like really interested, really intrigued, and really excited. So this is my last pro. You can get tips from literally like a month ago. So if you're like, oh my God, that person didn't tip me, just don't put out those negative vibes. Just keep holding down your positivity, because they might. I've gotten tips from like literally like my first day, like I'm still getting them, because if you think about it, like if you don't tip in the beginning and you want to tip at the end, like you might not look at the app again until you order food again, like on the app. So some of those people like aren't even looking at it for like a month maybe. So it's always fun to like literally every day that I wake up, I'm like, oh, tip, tip, tip. Just came in overnight. So always nice to wake up to. So if you've made it this far and you're like, I want to try that out, or maybe you've already tried it out and you're just watching some videos on other people that do it, but here's kind of just some things that I would highly recommend keeping on your mind. So I have found, and this is obvious, but like if you don't think about it, then it's not obvious, which is like literally everything in life. But the best time to go driving is during meal times. I know, so obvious, but I've learned to not go during what I call snack time. So I only drive from 8 a.m. to around 1-ish to 2-ish. Past 1 to 2-ish is like totally snack time. Like don't go during that time. People like literally will order like a thing of apples from like McDonald's and you have to deliver it to them. And so stuff like that, I'm like, ugh. And the next good time to start is dinner time. So I would say anywhere from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. is really good. I have noticed I don't really drive that much at night just because my vision's not super good. But I have noticed that the apps are like booming like really late at night because they probably don't have that many drivers. So I don't know, maybe you should try out those hours. My next tip is obviously always make sure you use the restroom before you leave your house, but anytime you're making a delivery inside of a department store or a really nice restaurant, make sure to use the restroom the second you have to go because you don't know how long your delivery is going to take. You don't know if the app's going to automatically connect you to your next delivery, and it may be hours till you see restroom again. So I highly, highly recommend to use the restroom when you can. My next tip, and this is again something that's obvious but something you might not think about, is to make sure that your phone is totally charged and that you have a full tank of gas before you leave your house, because again, you might think but you might be connected to like 5 deliveries like all of a sudden, and then you look down and you have no gas, and then I don't know what they do if you don't like deliver it super speedy, because like I deliver everything super speedy, but I'm sure they just like rate you down or don't recommend you as much or something. So yeah. Always remember to pack lots and lots of drinks for yourself and snacks if you want it, but I can't tell you how many times I've delivered like literally the best smelling food ever and like just like sat in my car like starving to death because I'm like, oh my gosh, they have like this really good food and like I'm starving. So yeah. I try to keep my spirits high because like I said, people aren't always the nicest. So I want to do my part in creating the happiest, healthiest environment for me, and so that I can project that to the world. So I do everything I can to make sure I am maintaining my basic needs. So my last mention, if we will, is to remember you are your own boss. You are the one that's in charge. You are the one that has to set your own hours. If you are going to be just depending on this, get yourself a calendar, write down when you're going to drive and stick to it, because I would say for the first week or so I was super slacker and I only drove like maybe like a couple hours a day or something, and I just got really unmotivated because I'm like, this doesn't work, like blah blah blah. But like it really does if you stay really organized with your time. All right, guys, that is all I have for you. I hope you enjoyed. If you are a driver for a delivery app and I missed something, please comment below. I love talking about this. It's so fun to me. And yeah, I'll see you guys next week. If you haven't liked this video or subscribed yet, please do that now. Yeah, I don't think I really have anything else to give to you. So I hope you have a really good Thursday, and I will see you next week. Bye.